The new Season 2 tier sets have been data mined, and that means one thing. I will fearlessly apply my 0 knowledge in design and fashion, 0 game dev experience, and 0.5 general taste to every single one, ranking them on a scale from S to F. This is my Undermine tier set tier list. Death Knight. You got the barbed wire fence horns, the Forge of Souls shoulders, a Deathwing breastplate mixed with a Torghast set. I don't know how to explain this, but the dimensions of it look wrong. There's a little too much space between the helm and the shoulders and gloves, and the middle of the breastplate looks a little barren. The soul details from inside the armor is the best part about this set, but the same color dripping from the cloth with no apparent correlation to the gas is definitely a little off. Also, it being a slight gradient next to all these solids also just doesn't fit the theme. DK gets a C placement. Oh, and by the way, I'm not gonna show every iteration of the transmog set, but instead focus on my most and least favorable options. Demon Hunter. When I look at this piece, I lose the little faith I actually had in my eyes for fashion, my judgment, because I just don't know what to think. Really amazing shoulders, a possible all-timer, cool, unique gloves, but what even is this? This is the result of subjecting a Power Ranger to Fel magic. If that Power Ranger was an alternate reality Tony Stark, I would be surprised if every single serious user of this transmog didn't hide this helm and possibly the chest. Cool details here and there, but honestly the whole doesn't come together in my opinion. D tier. Druid. On this set, I believe we're getting branches and fangs mixed together. Love how the helmet isn't a mirrored piece, but actually a little lopsided, where we have those branches sticking up like antlers, burning at the tips, which seems to be a continuing theme this tier. The shoulders are a little edgy for a druid with the skull of whatever Arden Wheel creature this was, but I like it. Am I blown away by anything here? No, it's certainly not an all-timer. Also, again, fairly boring chest and legs that kind of just lay the foundation for the other details to shine, but shown they did not exactly do. I think it's a low B. Evoker. Okay, just these details on Wowhead tells me this one is going to sparkle. The proportions here are spot on in my opinion. I think the chest and legs really works well and makes it look whole, compacted like armor in my opinion should. I like how gloves, belt, shoulder, and helmet details match perfectly and take up so much space. Only detail I'm not floored by is probably the purple gems and maybe a bit flat and overkill on the back part. But other than that, it's the first time I've ever praised an Evoker set. A. But what was even the point of including how it looks on the actual Dracthyr? It just looks like a fancy sensor bar. Hunter. Well, I'm not aware of the lore going into Undermine, but I doubt there's anything that warrants this set having a slightly more colored Sanctum of Domination Sylvanas look. But it's so detailed, the shoulders are pretty gas, although I don't think they necessarily fit the Hunter aesthetic I would have gone with for a patch like this. And already we've gone long enough without addressing the elephant in the room. Here we have a 10 out of 10, as in 10 out of 10 are gonna immediately hide this helmet. No, actually they're going to transmog the helmet before equipping it as to not risk getting caught wearing this embarrassment of a hood. If that cartoon fox had to wear this or lose his last name, he'd go full Beyonce and choose to just be known as Robin. And also, never was a fan of these kinds of spikes on the tiptoes of boots. Like, not only does it not look great, it also seems like an insanely problematic change to the angle your feet hit the ground. Like, with this, you'll get tendinitis in your Achilles before the end of a Mythic Plus. And what if you got one of those fangs stuck in a crack as you're dodging frontals? It's a sick design that needs to stop now. Hunter gets a C because the rest of the set's details are impeccable. Mage. This is by far the boldest entry yet. Does it pay off? This one is born to be extremely divisive. I mean, look at that crystallized fire helmet that looks like a damn Torchic evolution. The low down shoulders, gloves completely enveloped in these kind of solid flames. What a statement piece. This is a good example of when the chest doesn't really need to do much more than be a canvas for an absolute art piece. Look at those damn sandals as well. Are they just made out of a dragon's toenail? I don't know about you, but if I was a mage, I'd absolutely ride with this beast all day, all night, and be an absolute force of nature. Is it pretty? No. Is it badass? No, but it's absolutely the funniest set I've seen in several seasons, and for that it gets an S tier from me. Don't trust thumbnails. Monk. I have historically not been a massive monk set enjoyer, I just don't really like their aesthetic all that much for my taste. And here we have another one that I don't really care for, I wouldn't wear it myself. I'm sure these data mine pictures don't show all the texture, color, effects, and detail the armor will have in-game, but this one looks extremely cartoonish. That's not necessarily a bad thing, I actually like the color coordinated details all over, although never been a fan of the rope belt, like, are you a sailor? What do you need rope for? And why is there a noose around his neck? To symbolize the balance of taking life while inevitably losing one's own. How dramatic. And then there's the parchment flying off the left shoulder while a whole Super Saiyan dragon mask is disrupting your breathing. Like, how can you even have a combat-ready field of view in this? And I guess you also just accept being deaf as well when you're at it. And I get that monks have kind of trained to have senses beyond what you and I have, but why limit yourself? I think it's a tier set full of character at the very least. A lot to unpack here. I'll hand it a solid C. Paladin. Paladin is one of those classes that always gets something usable. Something you don't necessarily want to override with an old set. And this one is the same story. An improvement over the last tier, and even if it's sporting the claw as well, the rest of the armor is perfectly compact for plate aesthetics. Good 3D detail and color coordination on chest and legs. The Griffin-inspired lion and eagle mashup is really cool for the shoulders, but the helmet just looks like one of those owl creatures from Bastion. It's not terrible by any means, but I think it just sticks out like a sore thumb, making the Paladin tier set a B. Priest. Now this is bold. This cultist-ass crown of course sticks out immediately, and I think this is one of those sets that looks best from behind. This gives the vibe of being a harbinger of the light, like it's going to be speaking through you any minute, but at the same time you're kinda devious with no morality, as if you'd have no hesitation in fusing someone against their will. The pomp, the soulless eyes. This guy runs an American megachurch. A wonderfully evil take on a priest tier set. The only part of this I don't think fits too well are the ropes. What, did the monk have some leftovers? Did he accidentally bleach them in the wash? Also, much of the legs and arms are just this flat, long underwear. It still gets a solid A though. Rogue. I mean, this is just a masterclass. The pirate skull helm, the massive collar exuding colored gases, the little dapper handkerchief, the unique and perfectly complementary shoulder pads. He's strapped. The long coat with just the right leathery details that this set calls for. It's just badass and classy and fits the sea theme of the patch. I have no complaints. A definite all-timer already. If there are any rogue players left, I can't see them not being giddy over this look. A straight to the top S ranking for the pirate. Shaman. Now for my heart and soul. So last season's tier set was a catastrophe. No, what is that? Why is there a watery foxtail suspended mid-air? Why does the helmet look like it's straight from a green questing set? How is every color variation horrific? And well, why are the gloves randomly brown? So my biggest wish is to just have something wearable this time around. Fingers crossed, okay. It's not horrible. Definitely on first glance a step up. I think what kind of jumps out at me is how it looks like a bunch of chunks of solid color and texture, if that makes any sense. The steel details aren't exactly my thing, or even really fit Shaman. It again looks a little mid-Shadowlandsy without being completely robotic and lifeless. I actually really like the idea for the helm with the cloth and hood, but beyond the little spheres and spikes being enchanted with minor beast slayer, it doesn't completely give wielder of the elements to me. I don't think it looks abhorrent, and some of the color variants look quite good, like the gold and the lightning themes. It's a low B spot for me, and I'll take that. Warlock. Oh my god. Warlocks have it way too good. This is an insane set, the red being by far my favorite version. Just look at the absolute chaos of it. It's like you're hatching into a demon, like you were forcefully fused with your Fell Hunter. Some of the color variations are a little off, and for that it gets a little minus. But no Warlock is gonna look at this and be too disappointed. A strong A. And for the last set, Warrior. I don't know what the warriors out there are thinking, but to me this is kind of boring and safe. The shoulders are fantastic and warrior-like, but we've seen something similar before. The rest of it is chunky with lots of 3D spiky bits of plate. It's really solid, but not very new. The helmet is the main culprit though. It's just so plain, like it could be used as a popcorn bowl. There's no real personality to it. And those boots make you look like a dinosaur. I don't know why we need these damn claws. In fact, why did the rogue set not have them? They at least have a damn kick ability. Make them useful. Here it's just looking a bit silly. The mark on the back is a nice detail though. A huge day for warrior mains whose name starts with an M. It's not an absolute pest on the eyes, but for the lack of courage and creativity, I give this a C. And that about wraps up my tier list for tier sets coming up in Undermine. Here's the entire list. I'm so excited for the patch to drop. New content, new goals on the horizon. Have a peek at my EU Guild pack of pals if you're interested in anything from social to mythic rating. Links in the description. See you next time.